And welcome back to Who Would Win. Just a note on the what if thing. I'm actually feeling much better today, but I'm still gonna just say the what if for the weekend when I have more time. It's gonna work out better, but I'm feeling a lot better today. Honestly, it seemed to me it was just exhaustion I was dealing with. Had a good night's sleep, so I'm feeling a lot better. Tyler Gilbert asked the question: Who would a fight? Ichigo Kurosaki from Bleach or Nero from Nero or Nero? I'm gonna go Nero like zero, but with an N. Nero from Devil May Cry. He was first introduced in Devil May Cry 4, and he is actually the son of Virgil, the brother of Dante, and who is the brother of Dante. Therefore, Dante is his uncle, Virgil is his father, and Sparta, the demon who birthed them both, is his grandfather. That makes him a quarter demon, which immediately puts him, roughly speaking, in the same realm of power as his father and his uncle. Now, why exactly this matchup? I'm wondering. I can kind of see where it comes from. These guys are similar in many regards. They're two, swordsmen. They fight demons a lot of the time, or demon-esque figures. They're both very powerful. They're both hybrids. So I can see where they're both protected. Geez, I'm gonna get the sniffles. Yeah, it is kind of dusty in here. So I can completely understand where it comes from. This matchup. I can also understand Dante versus Ichigo, or Virgil versus Ichigo as well. In fact, I might even have those listed somewhere in the big book. But anyway, the difference between, say, Virgil, Dante, and Nero, like I said, is that while Virgil and Dante are both half demons, they, because I'm assuming Virgil had a child with a human woman, not a demonic woman. He's only a quarter of a demon, so it does hinder him to some degree. Now that being said, hindrance is a loose term. He's still incredibly powerful, easily able to block attacks from large giant sort from Beral, who I'm guessing is a demon son, capable of easily overpowering the Scarecrow physically, which was capable of contending with Dante Battle's own strength and wielding his double bringer, and can even overpower him, able to easily throw him. Now, when we talk about the double trigger, their full, power, all that, what that means exactly. You have to understand that he did beat his father outright in a fight, Virgil. And Virgil is, roughly speaking, equal to Dante. But Virgil had also been fighting Dante previously to that, which does make him, somewhat, which puts into question whether or not he's actually stronger than Dante or Virgil ultimately. As when he fought again, he's stronger than Dante holding back, but ultimately, I think it seems pretty obvious that because of their half-blood physiology, if they're at their peaks, Dante and Virgil probably would win in a fight against Nero. But ultimately, it's debatable. Now whether or not he is stronger. Still, he's incredibly fast, able to move faster than even the effects of gravity, which is interesting. Bullet time, all that. Accelerate healing, but apparently only really when he's in a double trigger. By the time he'd stopped Virgil and Dante fighting, his true power had awoken, and Nero regenerated his entire arm within a matter of seconds. But it seems to still be within his double trigger. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. It's kind of. I'd have to look into that more, but I think he may still have that level of power. He regenerated an arm in a matter of seconds. Superhuman endurance goes without saying. His Devil Bringer transforms him into which transforms him into that devil form. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. Obviously, he's also a skilled swordsman and a skilled marksman and a skilled unarmed combatant as well. In Arsenal, he wields a lot of weapons, surprisingly. An artificial mechanized blade. Artificial blade. All blades are artificial. Um, um, Red Queen, Blue Rose, Devil Bringer, and Devil Breaker. But Devil Bringer was broken, so we can't use that. So Devil Breaker. Basically, it's a cybernetic prosthetic that replaced his previous arm, but basically he grew his arm back, so he doesn't need to have that anymore. Red Queen and Blue Rose. Red Queen is a mechanical blade customized by Nero that has a powerful fuel injection system. When the propellant is sprayed onto the blade, it allows it to unleash fiery attacks. Okay. It's durable enough to clash with devil arms such as Rebellion. Blue Rose is a product of his own design, a weapon that uniquely constructed revolver with 2 barrels. That's interesting. Allowing 2 shots to be fired simultaneously and is capable of performing charge shots. Very, useful. Items inside the Devil Bringer's form. Well, he doesn't have those anymore, unfortunately, so we can't really use that. He also wields Yamato, which when you're putting a lot of abilities, putting a lot of effort into it, can actually cut through the fabric of space, cut through dimensions. So yeah, he's an extremely powerful individual. I mean, now Ichigo is Ichigo. Obviously, I've done verses on before. I have my own opinion. I'm a big Bleach fan, so I throw my bias in the ring right now on Bleach. I know I like Bleach a lot, but that doesn't mean I get every Bleach character to win. I put Bleach characters up against other non-Bleach characters, and I've said they lose. Hell, I love Kenbatsu, one of my favorite characters. I put him in Who Would Win many times. He has lost a couple of them. So yeah, I want to point out that while I'm biased in the fact that I love Bleach, I'm not biased in the fact that I don't think Bleach characters win all the time. So with that said, we have to look at all Ichigo's abilities, how fast, strong, yada yada yada. Now Ichigo is very unique that he's a hybrid between a Hollow, a human, a Quincy, and a Shinigami. He is like the full weird package, which is why he was probably tapped as a candidate to replace the Soul King if need be. He is a master swordsman, as his Zanpakuto is predominantly a melee type Zanpakuto. So it's his bread and butter that he needs to be proficient in armed combat and swordsmanship. He also, however, his sword upon the last arc is actually split now into 2 swords. One that actually represents his Quincy power, one that represents his Shinigami power. And together he can do a attack called Getsuga Jujitsu, which is basically a cross-shaped Getsuga, which is more powerful than normal Getsuga. And if I remember correctly, he can use 2 different Getsugas, one for the small blade, one from the long blade. One's stronger, one's faster, I believe. I can't remember if that's exactly the case. Now, the problem here with talking about Ichigo, though, is we need to address his bankai real quick. Now, bankai, obviously, Shikai Bankai, if you don't know Bleach, real quick, Zanpakuto, or swords that represent your spiritual self, they all have unique abilities that represent you. And the abilities are known as Shikai and Bankai. Shikai is the primary ability, primary release. Bankai is the full realization of that power. Now, Ichigo's original Bankai it's still known as Tensa Zangetsu. The name changes too. Except for Minazuki, but Minazuki's Kaijins change, so it does have a different meaning. But yeah, Ichigo's sword still stays the same in terms of its name. His appearance changes very drastically. But the big thing here is that we never saw what it did. And by that, I mean, it got destroyed before we actually ever saw it do anything. And then when it got repaired, it almost got destroyed again, except it's revealed that his Bankai, I guess, looks like his Shikai. I don't know. If Kubo had maybe 10 more chapters to add on to the final arc, we might have gotten a legitimate explanation on that. Who knows? But that being said, we don't really know what See, Ichigo's original Bankai basically condensed all his power down, which gave him heightened speed, heightened strength, striking strength, heightened cutting strength, still able to fire to Getsuga. It basically condensed power down into a small form for heightened abilities. Think of it this way: you have basketball size worth of power. Let's say water, for instance, or actually, let's actually do it better. You have a rock the size of a basketball, 2 rocks the size of a basketball, same weight, same density, all that stuff. You throw both those rocks at something, it's going to cause the same effect. That said, you condense the amount of power you have sorry, I was saying Kakama, into a smaller sphere, yes, the size has changed, but the density and the weight has not. You have far more control over that ball. You can direct where its path goes, but you're still throwing the exact same amount of weight, same exact amount of density. Same with, but you now have more control. Possibly can even throw it at a higher momentum, higher velocity. It's the same principle basically. That because the mass and the weight doesn't, in fact, the power even increases, but you condense it back down. So you're actually making a bigger ball condensed even further down. So it's the same principle there, if that made any like a sense. So we have to go under the assumption that his bankai in this form does kind of the same thing. Except on a much a higher scale. So yeah, Ichigo is a very tough customer in that regard as well. We also have to factor in speed, durability, physical strength, and his spiritual energy, his actual energy, his output. And so with speed, most Shinigami with Flash Step, which we know Ichigo has, generally can move at well beyond light speed at this point. And yeah, it's hard to say how much beyond light speed Ichigo can move, but it's pretty well established at this point that Ichigo, especially in reaction speed, can move beyond light speed. He blocked, I think, 1,000,000 blades literally within a few seconds. That's reaction speed well into the light speed parameters right there. Speed wise, again, like moving speed, that's a bit more difficult to really pin down. But still, it's safe to assume he does move at relativistic light speed. With that said, talking about durability, he's able to he's able to withstand blows that are easily measured in like the megaton, gigaton. He can easily take basically like bomb, like I mean like atom bomb level hits, more or less, and keep going because he can throw atom bomb level hits as well. So it's very, but again, calculating these kind of things is very difficult. And like even Nero's like actual feats aren't actually calculated very well. So I mean, you have that as well. So durability and physical output, that's another thing. In terms of his actual energy, that's difficult to really determine because we know Shinigami, especially Captain Class Shinigami, have to limit their power in the world of the living to limit their influence on the world of the living. Their actual power is so great that they can have negative repercussions on the literal fabric of reality of the real world. So, I mean, for example, if Yamamoto were to activate his bankai, which literally wraps him in the heat of the sun, hotter than the sun, if I remember correctly, that could literally destroy the Soul Society, which is basically like a mirror copy of Earth in many ways, then, yeah, he would literally destroy the entire atmosphere of the planet if he were to go bankai in the real world. Hell, if he just went Shikai in the real world, he might vaporize the actual atmosphere of the real world because the Soul Society is just it's kind of like Demon World and Yu Yu Hakusho versus the real world. The foundations of the Demon World are far better at handling S-class power levels than the human Earth is. Same principle here for the Soul Society. So ultimately, who do I think wins in this fight? Well, I'm gonna take the gun stuff isn't really gonna play a factor. I don't think Ichigo is far more capable, far more durable than gunfire can really do anything to it, even if it's a specialized gun. It would have to be a gun literally designed to kill soul reapers or spiritual beings. And for Dante or Nero or Virgil, even though Virgil really doesn't use firearms that much, their weaponry, even though I think Ebony and Ivory from Dante is a bit more tailored to fighting demonic entities, it's not really it's not really good against Ichigo. So you're really going to be factoring physical combat as the main fight between these guys. So if these two are duking out an actual fight, who's going to win? Ichigo is also a master hand, and he's not an expert. No, he's a master martial artist. Ichigo is a seriously good martial artist. He just doesn't really need to. Need to, because he's actually he's just more useful, or not useful. He's actually more comfortable using a blade when he's in Shinigami form. But we see that he's not against using hand-to-hand combat. So these two duke it out. I mean, starting with base form to base form, these two are probably evenly matched when it comes to physicality. Ichigo, I think, actually does have the actual experience and sword experience over Nero. I think it's just a matter of he's been, even though it's his time using a sword probably isn't as long as Nero. Nero's probably older than Ichigo. It's one of those things where Ichigo, as Ichigo kind of put it, he's had more combat experience than the Fullbringers put together. It's kind of the same with Nero, where Nero doesn't fight many guys with swords too often. Yeah, he's fought Dante and Virgil, but ultimately he's not going to really be able to outmatch Ichigo, I think, in swordsmanship. Also, Ichigo's power output, I think, is just far higher, because Ichigo is well beyond a captain. I mean, he's a high captain class level Shinigami. If he were to have actually become a captain, it's hard to say if Ichigo was actually the strongest protagonist in the series, like the strongest Shinigami in the series. I really don't think he was, despite the fact he's pretty much the hero. He does also have the hollow hybrid form, which is something I guess we can talk about real quick. You can call upon his hollow powers, do a Sero and a Getsuga Kensho hybrid kind of thing. It's very powerful, but I mean, it's kind of, I guess, when the fight gets to double trigger versus transformation, that's where you kind of go with this. But point being, these guys are kind of be going back and forth quite a bit. What's really going to trip Ichigo up, though, is Nero's regeneration abilities are top notch. Ichigo does not have that level of regeneration. He can't compensate for that. So, now that being said, a regenerative healing factor can be taxed. We saw that Virgil's can be taxed. It's probably the same for Dante. And because he's only a quarter demon, it's probably holds true for Nero as well. That said, it probably is going to take a lot to freaking tax that healing factor out. If he regrew an arm in seconds, it was good to go. So they're going to be duking out back and forth for a good long while. Eventually, Ichigo's going to go bankai. Probably take the physical upper hand because, again, his bankai more than likely, I should say, has the same or similar effect that it did previously. But like on a more powerful scale. Like if the multiplier for that was like a 5 to 10 times multiplier, which is the bankai usual, it's probably like more like 15 to 20 in the new bankai. Not because of like the changing rules for bankai, but because he just got that much stronger. The bankai just got that much stronger. So like the equivalency is probably like twice as much as what it did for him in his original bankai. And he's easily going to start overwhelming Nero. Nero will go into his devil trigger form. So that immediately is going to change things up. Nero also unleashes his Devil Bringer powers in the form, weirdly enough, of like an aura, which is very interesting. And it takes the form of I believe, of Yamato itself, if I'm not mistaken. So in going into full demon trigger, if you will, that's really where the fight's really going to take off. Physicality to physicality, again, they're probably going to be evened out. Ichigo's probably going to have a speed advantage, but Ichigo can only these guys can only last so long in their respective forms. The thing that's going to, I think, clinch this fight is the fact that Ichigo has one more form he can go to, his hollow hybrid form, along with bankai, and I think wear out Nero. Don't get me wrong. Nero is not going to Nero's not going to go down easy even after going out of double trigger. But here's the thing about the Devil May Cry characters, and I know I'm going to get people on my ass who think I say I don't know Devil May Cry that well. And to be fair, I don't know Devil May Cry that well. I never played any of the games. I've never seen any like anime or anything like that. I admit that. So to some degree, you are you're not wrong in saying you don't know Dante, you don't know Devil May Cry. But here's the thing: with all the feats I've seen, on YouTube, on YouTube, reading up their abilities. Devil May Cry characters are nowhere near as powerful as I think people give them or people make them out to be. Not that they're weak; they're very powerful. They are, especially in their game world, they're very powerful. But when you, like, for instance, Dante is extremely powerful. Like, his strength feats, I've seen him block giants' fists, but that doesn't make him stronger than a Hulk or Thor or Superman or anything like that. These guys got immense regeneration powers, but their regeneration can be taxed. Wolverine's got regeneration easily on par with theirs, if not better. Then you got individuals like Darwin who can literally adapt to anything, so he's got regeneration more than capable of matching theirs, and even matching them like any of their attacks pretty much because he can adapt to it. Swordsman skillship, there's far more skilled swordsmen in anime, movies, and everything in between. What else we got here? Gunplay, please. These guys may be master marksmen, but again, there are far more skilled marksmen out there. So it's a matter of, I get that I'm not as well versed on Devil May Cry as maybe I should be. And I know people are going to be, you shouldn't do it if you don't know it. I just had someone talk about that recently. You shouldn't talk about who would win if you don't know the character. A, it's based off suggestions. So yeah, I'm going to go off what I can find. But B, it's more like, I feel like, yeah, maybe I don't know as much as I do or should, but I feel like people let their own fandom blind them to how a fight might actually go down. And to be fair, I did give the Bleach character, I think, the win. I think Ichigo would beat Nero overall in a fight. But it's not going to be an easy fight. It's going to be a far from easy fight for Ichigo. Because if nothing else, Nero's regeneration alone makes him very difficult for Ichigo to put down permanently. It's going to be a very long, drawn-out fight. Unless he's able to, like, take off his head or something like that. Then Nero could probably still survive that. But he's going to kind of be like, he's going to be a chicken with his head cough. He's not going to be able to do anything. So I give the win to Ichigo, but I acknowledge it's not an easy victory. And I would even acknowledge that there's a good portion of the fights that Nero might actually win. But I still am going to say, I go with Ichigo in this fight. That's my personal opinion. I acknowledge my bias for Bleach. But if you're going to be one of those people who says you don't know Devil May Cry, you shouldn't do it, at least try to acknowledge your own bias maybe a little bit. Just putting it out there. Because we all have our biases. We all have our fandoms we like. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see you folks next time. Hit that bell if you want notifications. Put your suggestions in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you later.